Next thing up are ratios, rates, and proportions. So whenever you learn one of these topics, the other two kind of go along with it because they're very interrelated. So a ratio is any tangible item compared to another tangible item. So for instance, in a, let's say, pet shop, you could have 2 dogs for every 3 cats, for instance. So that would be a ratio. Okay. A rate is something that is a little bit less tangible, aka miles per hour. So you can't really touch a mile, you can't really touch an hour, but you can touch a dog and you can touch a cat. So they're pretty much the same thing, except one is tangible and one is a little less tangible. Then the last thing is proportions. A proportion, you can't have it unless you first have a ratio or a rate. So proportion would be something like if I have, let's use the same, 2 dogs for every 3 cats, and I'm trying to figure out how many dogs I would have if I had 6 cats, then I could set up this proportion. So 2 dogs over 3 cats is equal to X dogs over 6 cats, and then I could cross multiply or realize that 3 times 2 is 6, so 2 times 2, X would have to be 4. Okay, so let's go ahead and go over the different types of ratios that you're going to see. So first things first is when they give you something like there are 2 dogs and 3 cats in a pet store. What's the ratio of cats to dogs? Alright, so all you'd have to do is you'd say for every 3 cats there are 2 dogs. So 3 to 2. Alright, they're not normally going to be quite that nice, but that's the basics of it. The other thing is just what I did. So problem number 2 would be something like if there are, let's see, 10 dogs, how many cats do we have? Okay, so if there are 10 dogs, how many cats are there? Okay, great. So we had, let's see, we have 3 cats for every 2 dogs, and that's going to be equal to X number of cats over 10 dogs. So all you'd have to do is cross multiply that. So you would get 30 is equal to 2 times X, and then you divide by 2. And so you get X is equal to 15. So when you have 10 dogs, you have to have 15 cats, or 25 total animals. Okay, and then the next thing could be we'll use the same cat and dog scenario just to make everything easy. They could ask you how many cats and dogs could there potentially be. So they'd have to set up something like, which of the following is not a possible option for the number of total animals at the pet store? But for ease of writing that down, let's do something a little more simple, like what is the least number of animals in this pet store? So the least number of whole cats you can have is 3, and the least number of dogs is 2. So in that case, all you'd have to do is just add up your different pieces of your ratio to come up with the least number of animals. And you also know that you can only have multiples of 5 in terms of these animals. So you can have 5 animals, 10 animals, 15 animals, 5,000 animals, but you couldn't have, for instance, 6 animals because then you wouldn't have whole cats and whole dogs, and that's a terrible thing. So you have to have whole numbers of ratios. So there's 2 different things that they like to do to you. They like to give you a ratio of one number to a second number, and then that second one to a third, and make you eliminate the middleman. So that's one thing they love to do. And then the other one is that they'll give you a part-to-part ratio and make you find the part-to-whole ratio. So let's go ahead and look at both of those instances so you guys have a better idea of what you're supposed to do. Okay, so here's an example of the first kind of problem I was talking about. So you've got the ratio of A to B is 3 to 4. The ratio of C to B is 1 to 2. and then it's asking you what is the ratio of A to C. Okay, so first things first, you want to kind of write this out in a way that you can kind of see what's going on. So I've got A to B, and then I'm going to have C to B, but I would rather switch that up and say B to C, just so the B is in the middle and I can see it. So when A is 3, B is 4. We know that to be true. And we want to get rid of B so that we can use it just for C. So the first thing that you'd want to look at is this next ratio. So when B is 2, C is 1. And basically we want this B to be the same number here so that we can get rid of it. So the easy thing here to do is say, okay, when B is 2, C is 1, why not make B 4? Because then we can get rid of it. So then we would have 3 to 4, because that's the same thing, and then we turn this B into a 4, and instead of being 2 to 1, it would be 4 to 2. So since 4 is the same number, we know that A to C is 3 to 2. So you're basically just getting rid of the middle number. So you just want to set it up in a way that you can easily see what's going on. Alright, so let's go ahead and let's look at the other kind of problem I was talking about. Okay, so something like this. The ratio of men to women is 5 to 6. There are 42 women. How many people are there? Alright, so notice you've got men to women and then it throws in total people. So you're dealing with a part-to-part ratio and then it's asking you for a whole. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do these kinds of problems, and by means, if your way is different than the way I'm going to show, that's fine as long as it is fast and accurate. So if we have men to women and then we have women and total people, all we have to do is find the ratio of women to total people. So women to total would be, you've got your 6 women, and then you've got 5 plus 6 people in your entire, classroom or ensemble or whatever this is. So you'd have women to total is equal to 6 to 11. So for every 6 women, there are 11 total people. So then all you have to do is set up a proportion. So 6 over 11 should be equal to 42 over X total people. So then you would want to cross multiply these things. So when you cross multiply, you have 6 times X is equal to 42 times 11, which is 462. And then you would want to divide both sides by 6 so that you would get 462 divided by 6, or 77. So when there are 42 women, there are 77 people. Okay, great job, guys.